Hello, and we are back with me, Valita Stoke, and this is the podcast, We Are the Change. We are here with Rosa and Lela from the Dream Resource Department. And we have a very huge issue that's kind of going on right now that they'll be able to speak on. So, let's talk about a little bit of what the Dream Resources Center is and how it provides for our students here at Oxnard College.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for having us today, Valita. A few years back, there was a really big need to be able to provide undocumented students from mixed status homes, students that identify as streamers, with services that are directly for them. For many, many years, these individuals have had to go around to get certain resources that are just more directly provided to other students with a different legal status. So with the hard work of our Undocu Ally team from administrators, faculty, staff, students were involved in that as well. The Dream Research Center became what it is today. And so I'm excited that last year was actually 5 years that the center has been open. Don't include COVID times. We still skip through that because
Yes,
we're still
of
providing
course.
services to students. But it's been a long time area of support for students. So I think some of the biggest services that we have right now are students that are looking for support with scholarships, paid opportunities. They are looking to talk to immigration legal services, to qualified attorneys that can provide them with support. The center itself is a safe space, be yourself zone for our students. So they're always welcome in here. They receive school supplies, they have access to computers, they can print for free. We have different events on campus, such as workshops or social events that either it's student-led or it's staff-led. And a lot of the times they just come in to see what it is, and then we might see them in a few weeks from them. It depends how ready they are to also accept the services, but a lot more.
Now, with this new inauguration, are there going to be any changes to the DREAM Act?
So far that we've heard of, there are no changes to the DREAM Act. Something that I would like to clarify is that the California DREAM Act, which is financial aid for undocumented students, is not federal aid. So it's state aid, which makes the rules a little bit different. Up to now, nothing federal has overridden that, and we're crossing our fingers that that's how it stays. And I would like to mention that Oxnard College has long had the financial aid office be a huge ally of undocu students. And at this moment, we have 3 dedicated undocu liaisons. So it's a huge benefit to be able to refer them directly to our financial aid team.
That's amazing. I didn't know that, and I'm glad we're spreading this information because with what's going on in our current political climate, that this separation between state and federal is such big knowledge that I'd love to prepare the students for. So, are there any other federal changes that could possibly affect the DREAM Act? Just to be prepared.
That we've heard of so far, no. I
That's
think
great.
right now one of the things that is pending in the Fifth Circuit Court is those that were eligible to receive deferred action for childhood arrivals, and much of our community knows this as DACA recipients. This is still a long-standing case, but as of right now, our attorneys and local organizations that dedicate services to DACA students and individuals so far have just continued to encourage renewals. Unfortunately, new applications have not been open since 2 administrations ago, but we are hoping that could change in the future. We never uncross our fingers, and it's something we're always hoping for.
And you guys provide these lovely cards at your center. And I just wanted to ask Lela over here of what they say and what they're used for.
Yes, these red cards are to remind everyone in the United States of their personal rights and liberties. So it's not a form an attorney or a lawyer or anything like that, but say you encounter enforcement and you're not sure. What this does, it reminds you of what you can do. So the number one thing is, I do not wish to speak to you. So you remind them, hey, I know my rights and you know your rights as well. So this is one of the most important things to have on you anywhere, whether it be immigration enforcement, law enforcement, police officers, sheriffs, counties. This applies to everyone.
And this is so great because people do forget that you literally have the right to remain silent. And the biggest reason why to exercise that right is so that they can't use necessarily anything or anything you say in order to do whatever. It's just to protect yourself and call it end.
Correct.
I've seen these around a lot more, and I wish we could. You know what? We'll do it right now. Please screenshot right now. And they're at the Dream Resource Center, and they have plenty. So if you're just a little bit concerned of for any reason, please drop by the Resource Center here on campus. And it's located in which building again?
At the ASG building, we're located right in there, right as you walk through to the right. I do want to say as well, they're available in English, Spanish, but also in many other languages as well. And if you're interested in those, they're available online. And then we're also getting more shipments in of those cards as well. So feel free to come by and pick some up.
That's really great. Because right now, I mean, I'm flipping up my words. So it's really nice to just have a script that you can read off currently reading it right now. And it's, do you mind if I guys read it for the camera? Okay. So just so you know exactly what to say, I do not wish to speak with you, answer your questions, or sign or hand you any documents based on my Fifth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution. I do not give you permission to enter my home based on my Fourth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution, unless you have a warrant to enter signed by a judge or magistrate with my name on it that you slide under the door. I do not give you permission to search any of my belongings based on my Fourth Amendment rights. I choose to exercise my constitutional rights. Clear, concise, and perfect for, like you said, any situation involving any type of law enforcement. These are amazing. Now I'm going to keep on talking.
And there's more at the DRC that you can get. And I would definitely encourage students, maybe they received it from a sibling or a friend or a family member, or they've maybe already picked them up at the Dream Resource Center. You can walk into the DRC anytime you would like and say, how do I use this? It's okay to not know, but it's not okay to remain in the unknown. So come in and let's learn together how you can use it and practice that. And our goal is to also provide students with ongoing services that will continue to remind them how to use them or use them for the first time. And let's knock on wood, we don't get there, but.
Yeah, and it's so important. I want you guys to also know I didn't know more than half the things that Lela and Rosa have been telling me. I came to them because I wanted to know and I wanted to spread that information because, like you said, I was in the unknown, and with everything that's going on, it made me feel like I wasn't doing enough. Now, that's not necessarily true because I came and I did the work. And I think as people, as we grow together as a community, it is important to know where your privileges lie because I'll be honest, I am a documented student and I'm a documented citizen, but that doesn't mean I don't want to help my fellow undocumented students as we should as a community. Now, I also know that you guys deal with the basic needs on campus. It's also a separate department, or is it tied with the Dream Resource Center? Yeah, go ahead. Whoever.
They're actually separate departments, but they're we both work in them.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Basic Needs Center, which is also named Condor Care,
Mm-hmm.
we help students with their food insecurities, clothing insecurities, and then housing sometimes. So we have free snacks. We also host a farmers market, but we also connect them to more resources. Say we can't fulfill here, we'll help you connect you to those resources. So like the county of Ventura, things like that. But I think it's a great resource for students because I don't think a lot of students know that, hey, you can get free snacks that you buy at the bookstore. Not saying don't go to the bookstore, but you can always stop
Books
by.
and food.
Yeah. If you want to get them for free, just stop by every day. You just need your ID, 900 number, and then that's it. Yep, just come in, and they could provide you a bag as well.
Nice. Nice. And with that department, aren't you guys doing a weekly food drive? I believe I've also been seeing the flyers.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the farmers market. So
okay.
every week we host a farmers market where we give out a box or either a whole bag of groceries.
Wow.
So it could be from tomatoes, bananas, potatoes, jalapenos. But we host that Tuesdays or Wednesdays. One time it's going to be a night market, and then one week it will be a daytime market. So we service both students in the day and then students in the evening as well.
Is there anything that students need to provide when showing up to these markets?
Just their ID and then sign in.
Wonderful, wonderful. Is this open to the families of these students as well, or is it just as long as you have your 900, your family is allowed to come with you? And
they're specifically geared for students.
Okay.
But we know that students do take their box to provide groceries for their family. Yes, correct.
That's such a lovely resource because I do know we have a decent population who are unhoused on our campus, and we provide a lot for them. And I hope they see this podcast episode in order to know how many resources that Oxnard College does provide. I also did want to touch on kind of circling back, but of what's going on with law enforcement. I want to know how involved we are with calling our school a sanctuary school or not. So is that something you can speak on, or?
Right. So with this new administration, we have been watching the news, reading the papers, receiving direct communications from our district office, and as we continue to funnel through the new announcements that come out from the White House, we have heard that, for example, churches and schools are no longer considered a sort of safe zone, right? It will no longer limit certain actions that law enforcement can take. So that put everyone on alert. What does this mean? I do want to be clear that administrative and law enforcement practices have never ended or have barely begun because of this new administration. This has always gone on. However, because of the vulnerability of the communities that are implicated in this process, there are some innocent bystanders. There are people without criminal records that do, unfortunately, become a part of a process that wasn't directly entailed for them on that day or that time. So from what we're currently aware of, this is not exactly something we can state to be. We, on the other hand, have to come together as a campus and have to be able to guide campus employees and students through what actions to take, what to do, what to say, in case they are, faced with law enforcement presence, be it here, be it in the community, be it at home. Our due diligence, and we take this very serious because we're very proud of the students that we serve. And as you can tell, Oxnard College serves an array of special student populations, with undocumented students and their families being one of them. We want them to know how to practice their rights no matter where they are.
With this vulnerability in our community, I also would like to just mention we, as a city of Oxnard, held city council meetings every Tuesday, first Tuesday and second Tuesday of the month, and you can sign up online to be a part of them, to speak just about anything. A lot of the time, they do have a scheduled uh, designation of what will be said that day. But when there are grievances in the city, it is important and to also utilize your rights of what you can and can't do. And you can go to these meetings and bring up what you are concerned about, what you'd like to change. You guys, this is called We Are the Change as a podcast. And I'd like you guys to also know that as much as it feels like kind of a depression of time right now, that I want to uplift us and know that not only do you have rights, you have a way to change what's going on and to provide for your community as well. And in the same vein of that, your guys' department here, the Dream Resource Center, I wanted to also encourage students to come forward and talk about your own experiences, but also don't feel pressure to do so either. But you also have not law enforcement. We also have lawyers as well, both on campus and resources that we provide that are off campus. Would either of you like to just maybe say their names or speak on them?
Yes, we do. We have a special group of attorneys that help Oxnard College students, alumni, and they're called the Immigration Lawyer Defense. Am I correct? But they're attorney services that can help undocumented students or alumni with their cases, or like DACA renewal, anything that has to do with, I guess, the legal side. If you have any questions, they're here for students specifically.
Now, the outside resources of attorneys, do we know, because I do believe we had a conversation where they are a certain price. Do we know the prices, or do we provide discounts because we are a part of the college?
I think that's more community oriented.
Okay.
So much like our basic needs services office, for example, or OC Mercado or the Dream Resource Center. There's every wish to always help every student with absolutely everything that they need assistance with. But sometimes there are certain cases where we're not able to provide that support. So we look onto the community, right? We look to lean on them the way that they're able to lean on us for things they cannot cover. So it's a system of organizations that work together to be able to provide their clients or their students with as much support as possible. So because the community resources are not something that we directly fund or take care of or organize, it depends on an organization if they themselves have the funding to cover the type of legal service that an individual is going to need. So we always look for the organizations that will either have it for free. That's always our favorite.
Of course.
Free stuff is awesome.
Amazing.
And or low cost, because let's face it, we're in South Oxnard. We know who we're serving. We know what our students' goals are and where their family needs support. So our goal is to always have it be as low cost as possible. Which is ironic because we're in the most expensive county
In California.
and we are so going and we're trying and we're fighting hard for low cost or free services. So I would say any given point that a student is in need of a resource, and if they line it up with the DRC or basic needs, even though we have students coming in asking for a service we definitely don't provide, but we don't mind redirecting them to where they need to be. So we are more than happy to see students directly inside of the Dream Resource Center, at the Dream Resource Center, so we can help them and help navigate them to the location that's going to have what they're going to need or who might be the best fit for what they disclose they needed.
For these attorneys, what are the appointments signing up? How is that like for our students? Is it appointment based? Is it,
Yes, I believe they're appointment based.
Okay.
But I believe due to the climate right now, I believe they are backed up.
okay.
And it will take some time, but still, we do encourage you, if you're seeking those services, to immediately try to make an appointment with them.
Yes, as soon as possible. There might be a backlog, but that doesn't mean they're not going to get to you.
Right.
Because of the certain climate right now, it just means that it'll come to you eventually. So don't be discouraged. Please sign up no matter what if this is something that you find that you need, because that's what we're here for. For these lawyers, I know we have, uh, you said 3 on campus, but we also have an attorney teacher as well. I'm forgetting the name. But just know that your resources aren't necessarily, now, they're not limiting your departments whatsoever, but just know it's not just these two. There are teachers, there are the financial aid department here who also works with UNDACA students that are more than willing to help you through the process. Please don't be afraid at any point to ask for help, and it's okay if you, like we said earlier, we don't know how to ask. We don't know how to, let me pull it out. We don't know what to say. There are people here who can provide you with anything and everything you need. And if they can't, then like they said, you're more than welcome to be redirected to the department that can.
And I would like to add that I I try to put myself in the shoes of a student. I was a student, right?
Yeah.
And I'm still intending to be one in the future. So it's not easy to talk to a total stranger about very personal matters, especially when they involve people who you know and love and care about. Your Should I tell them? Should I not tell them? Till this day, we see it all the time where students come in and disclose something, and later on we find out something else. Like, whoa, we did not know that, right? You are supported regardless. We do encourage that you let us know as much as you're comfortable with, so we know the best way to help you. But we understand if that's not easy right away. But you also just have to ask yourself, if I'm not disclosing something, will that hold up my case? Will I have to jump back to this later because I cannot move forward without processing or letting someone know? And that also helps us refer you to the best resource we can find, and see, that also lets us know if we need something more urgent because it's more critical, or if there's something we have more time with. That definitely, not just our departments, but other student services providers on campus will very much benefit from knowing that. But you have a team of people who very much care about your well-being. We are definitely dedicated to either providing you with the service or finding you that service. I know there's sometimes a wait period we don't like and don't want to go through, but you don't go forgotten. We know you're there, and we will be there for you every step of the way. Uh, and on the topic of student services, what's going on in the world isn't in this world, right? Of what's going on with our undocumented students. It's not just affecting them; it affects those around them, and it's clearly affected everybody else, regardless of status, who who who's providing this kind of support to these individuals. It's a collective, and so you're not alone. But nonetheless, due diligence, here to help.
Yeah, go
And-
right ahead.
And piggyback off of Rosa said, I started out as the basic needs as a student service assistant, but I work in the DRC, which is the Dream Resource, and from there, I've become an ally because I'm working in their safe space,
Of course.
and I think I would like students to know that that's their space. They can go there whenever they want, even if they just want to hang out. They're not feeling good. We've got couches in there. We've got computers, books, snacks, and they may fear other things, too shy. But if you just walk in, we always get students who are kind of apprehensive at first to be like, "Oh, what's the center about?" But when they walk in and they get to know and they see us, it's like, "No, this is for you, and this is for you anytime you want it." But
Well said. Well said. Um, Hypothetically, if you had a student who came in and had the opportunity to sign up for the Dream Act, what are the things that they would need to provide in order to fill out the paperwork?
So for the California Dream Act, we highly recommend that they go directly to the financial aid office.
Okay.
And that's because I know sometimes it sounds like we're sending students everywhere.
Of course.
Oh, you're going to have to go talk to this person, and then you have to talk to this person. And to this day, someone is probably wondering why one second they have to talk to Lela and another one they have to talk to me if we sit across each other.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're financial aid specialists. It's in their name, right? It's in their role. It's what they do. And they have access to your financial aid. So that's not something on our end that we can so
Okay.
easily pull up. So we do take your privacy serious as well, right? We're not just going to up and share it because we have it, but we also don't have that financial aid information. And not to mention, we don't have one, we don't have two, we have three financial aid and docu liaisons who are up and ready any minute to help students in this process. Um, so that's a big one. And when students are 24 or younger, they do need to come in with the parent because they'll be using their parents' income tax return. But if they are 24 and younger and they're independent students, they still want to go to financial aid to discuss that with a financial aid specialist. If they're 25 years and over, they can file a loan. And I just want to clarify that the parents will need an ITA number, and if they are having trouble with accessing this piece of information, they can come to financial aid or they can come to the Dream Resource Center. If they have a question about what other documents are needed, they can come to the Dream Resource Center or they can go to financial aid. It's case by case, no student's the same. It depends on what they might need or what they already have.
I did want to talk about a little bit your personal connection with the Dream Resource Center. How did you guys get involved? Was there and if there's a specific student, you have to name them, but really just touched you and made you realize, like, I hope you like your job. Just kidding. I'm sure you guys love your job. I'm sure.
Yeah. So, like I said, I started off. I was brought in as a student service assistant for the Basic Needs Center, but because I've worked in their space, I became a DRC ally, and I love seeing students, employees, regardless of their status, what the center brings in and the stories I see, and I also went to a conference recently with some students who identify as undocumented, and it was a great trip because it also, as students, it exposes them to professional, career, even future student opportunities. And I think that was a very enriching experience for them. And I hope in the future we can do more events like that or bring more students to let them know, hey, this is out there. And if you're looking to move somewhere, do something else, you could do it.
I feel very near and dear to Oxnard College. I'm a proud product of it. I'm an OC alum. I was receiving the student services at one point. I was in EOPS. Shout out to the many staff that are here that once served as my mentors, right, and helped me in my darkest times. And to be here feels very full circle. I'm very, very humbled by this experience. It's been the most challenging role I've ever had. And sometimes I do wonder, like, wow, I made it to another day. And, there's so many things happening the day before. Um, but it's an area that I love continuing because I look at these students, and no matter how I was a student before, this is a different time. There's so much going on right now. And like you've mentioned before, there's a seat of privilege you tend to find yourself in at one point, right? I'm no longer that student. So now I have the power to advocate for them. And I have the opportunity to represent each and every one of their stories because there's so much that we want to do. And that's teaching us where we need to continue navigating student services. The student services that existed before are not what today's generation of students, regardless of age, are going to need. And so to be able to be that person to advocate and represent them, I take that very seriously and do it with my whole heart. Um, when I was a student, I was involved in the Dreamers Club and got to work very closely with those that were working with undocu student services. So when I get to sit at that desk every morning, it's very personal to me. And my dream is to be able to see the current students that are in need of a change in status to be able to more comfortably continue their life, right? Um, I really wish and hope to see that day. And in the meantime, something that we're always advocating for is that they do not give up on their education. No matter how tough things seem right now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be like this forever, right? Wherever they choose to go after Oxnard College. Mind you, we only get students for a very little period of time, but it's a very particular time in their life. But there's always sunshine after the rain. So
Yeah.
we're really hoping that they continue and finish their education because you don't know when the tables are going to turn in your favor. And to be able to have that bachelor's degree, that
Mm-hmm.
associate's degree in your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and you have it prepared, um,
You can move
that's
mountains.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. And it also looks great to be working on your degree, right? It shows a sign of productivity. And we see it every day that they have intent to do that when, amid the hardest period in their life, they're still showing up to school. But obviously, we do have some fear in others where they don't walk down the street the same way. They're not at the grocery store feeling the same way. So, this is very real. This is happening to students in our community. And we hope that they're able to always feel safe on campus.
Well, I also want to remind you, I know you said earlier that, you made it another day, but not only that, you've affected so many, both of you, so many students on this campus, and you are making such a don't see you, don't make me cry. I see you. I
Stop.
see you. Yeah, don't do this to me right now. Um, anyway, but you guys are doing such a beautiful thing here on campus, and that's what I personally love so much about Oxnard College, because you guys are serving a large demographic here who need that extra help, and they deserve it. Everyone deserves the help that they need. And to see you guys briefly, I mean, I met you a week ago, but to see how much you do for this campus and how hard you work, and I mean, you have a bunch of little cards, I always see your flyers all over campus, that these two are some of our hardest working, steal my nerves. um, just like this whole campus of staff, and to hear your personal story of going here and going through the OPS system and how much it benefited you just shows that, like you said, today may be a hard day and even tomorrow, but the next day might be easier. And that's why you should just keep taking the steps forward and passing the days, because the rain may come and it's going to come. So thank you for those beautiful words, because I know a lot of students need that right now, and it's so important to know that you have resources and that your needs are important and your needs are going to be fulfilled to the best that we can, and that you're not alone. Deep breath. Mental health. But I did also, because you guys, Lela, brought up that students can come in to your center anytime. We also provide counseling here on campus. You can sign up as well. I believe they're appointment based. So if coming to the center and you do feel better, but maybe, hey, you need that little extra help once again, you can get redirected to go through therapy session, counseling sessions here on campus. So know that if it's still feeling a little extra heavy, even after getting the wonderful resources that we provide, there's still more, and that you can continue on your healing journey. But I also wanted to circle back to we talked about privilege, and I think people get really scared of that word because admitting you have privilege can it has a negative connotation to it, but it doesn't necessarily have to, because the moment you kind of accept what privileges you have, it's okay to acknowledge and accept those privileges as what they are, but to sit there and deny them is where that negative connotation kind of stems from. So accepting them and realizing where you are on the hierarchy level of privilege, it can just give you and open your perspective of kind of everything else that is around. So, personal experience, I know for myself, being my mother was an immigrant, but my father is American. So, with that, I have that privilege of being legally documented right from birthright because I was also born here. Now, there's so many little complications that happen along the line that can make you technically undocumented. And it is not as black and white as people like to say or do, because it can be as simple as just being born in a different country and then coming to America a week later. It can be someone who is born in a, I'm forgetting the term, but not necessarily state of America, but in ties with America. So it can be a process when you come back. It's just not as simple as everyone likes to hear, and that is coming from someone who is recognizing my privilege and educating myself past what everyone else has taught me, going the farther step of going to community college and understanding my history and Oxnard's history, and just stacking up the knowledge from all these things shows you a little bit more perspective and a little bit more compassion for the community that you reside in. Because whether you like it or not, you live in Ventura County, and these things do affect your county. So I just encourage everyone to broaden your perspective a little bit and kind of acknowledge the privileges that you have within yourself, because it can help just grow compassion for your fellow neighbors. And it's not a scary thing, because it can grow compassion for your fellow students and just knowing what they're going through, and you're also going through things. And the Dreams Resource Center is for anyone who is having these fears of what's going on. I bring all this up because of our current climate, because it should bring up feelings in you, because that showing that you do have compassion for your neighbor. If you're sitting here questioning the little things and what everything adds up to, please come to the Dream Resource Center, because we can sit there and you can talk it through other students, through Lela and Rosa. It is the unknown is where people reside in, to not grow that compassion and to kind of stay in the dark. But to be in the light and to be together is to talk and to understand each other. It's okay to not understand. Do you ever have students who come in just, just wanting to understand and kind of coming from a place of like, I want to, but I just don't know how? And how does that go? Because I know that's difficult, because when I come into places not knowing anything, I'm very stubborn. And I am a very stubborn person, but I want to learn, and it's hard to kind of break through that stubbornness for me. So what's it like to kind of have to break through that stubbornness in others?
Ooh, that's a good. Lela.
To break through that stubbornness, it's an ongoing challenge, but everyone's different, right? Some others are a little more, I guess, guarded, right?
Of course.
But they're there.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's the important part, is that they're there.
exactly. So that to me is the biggest hurdle. You walk into the office doors, like that's basically it. And then you come in and you see us in there. But once you ask them, hey, how are you doing? And how can I help you? And then kind of just being patient. And then that's when the student starts to open up, or you can kind of tell they're apprehensive, but then you just patience. And then I credit Rosa. She's one of the most patient people I've ever met. I learned from her. But yes, I think just waiting in
Yeah.
that space with them, I guess making them feel okay and comfortable, right? Just it could take a while, but that's the process, and we're willing to be there right there with them.
That's huge.
Change is scary. Change can be a scary feeling, and a lot of them already don't trust other systems, or they've been through certain situations in life where they've been let down. So we're not their favorite people in that moment, and we might not ever be. But at the end of the day, that's what we love to do. We're going to hold the space for you. We'll talk with you. We'll just listen to you if that's all you need us to do in that moment. And definitely holding that for them it's very important to us. Like, I can't emphasize it enough, right? We don't know where else they might not be able to do that, and we're not going to be one less. Um, and I think if we were talking about stubbornness, I don't think I could call it stubbornness directly, but I think when you adopt education, there's a lot of other things that come with it that we might not want to do, like check our student emails.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's not usually what we're doing. Please check your student emails. There's so much legal information we can't put in a personal email, so we have to put it in your student email. Our Dreamer students, for example, only get one set of communication that doesn't go out to anybody else, because we want to, not because we're excluding or we're nitpicking who should be there, but we need to uphold that safe space, right? So if we only have them there, they have a different way to move around what they ask or what they say. There are certain communications that are very particular, so we want to ensure that there's no issue with somebody else seeing that email if that inbox is in a different device or in the hands of somebody else. The list goes on and on. We have a lot of returning students that are considered re-entry students. These are students that are older as well, so the technology looks a lot different, right?
Yeah,
Like, we
oh,
have
yeah.
all these new programs.
Oh yeah.
But let us know how we can help you. We can help you get there. And something I think we always remind them one way or another is we're here because of you. Like, we work for you. We're not sitting at a desk and it's all fancy and peaches and cream. No, we have this role because we have students, and that's why I have a job, right? And so let us know how we can help or make things easier, or we can bring this issue up to our supervisors. Like, have you noticed that this is just not working for students? But also that help us help you, right? Like, help me help you. If there's something that's not changeable, it's also not meant to hurt you. It's meant to help you progress, because as we mentioned, you're not going to be here forever. So we might have a system, but if you're going to transfer to a university or you're going to enter your career field, they might have a different system of technology set up. They might have a different system of programs that you're going to have to use to be able to be employed there or be a student there. So it's not meant to hurt you. It's currently where we're at. But if it's a real issue, then we'll move it up the ladder and try to get it fixed. But seriously, check your emails,
Yeah.
please. Or we're going to call you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is such a simple thing, because I don't know how many times I've just randomly chatted with people and I'm just like, oh yeah, I got this in an email, didn't you? It was part of the newsletter. And they're like, we get a newsletter? I'm all, here, pull up your phone. I'm like, and I find it right there. And I'm like, you get the newsletter. You gotta look at it.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean about just simple little stubborn things like that. It doesn't even need to be this big thing that stops you from doing anything, but it feels like it does. I mean, I struggle with, as simple as it sounds, sometimes I get that anxiety of like, oh, okay, they emailed me back. Hopefully it's not negative. Because you just never know. And that's just my anxiety talking. It's not going to be negative. I know that logically, but that's how anxiety can manifest. And it can, unfortunately, just tell you things that are wrong.
No, I do want to mention that our Dreamers Cafe will be back. This is an additional area of mental wellness services for our students that's in a group setting and led by one of our mental wellness specialists from the Student Health Center. Physical, emotional, mental health is very important. And if we're hungry, we eat food. If we're thirsty, we have a beverage. So if we're feeling some sort of way while we're trying to focus on academics, life, family, everything, all of the above, let's try to pair that up with something that's going to help us directly. So we highly encourage students to take advantage of those services that are offered from the health center. And it's not just the one-on-one sessions that students are eligible for. It's an additional area of services which puts students in community with other students that understand their path as well. And given the circumstances, if there are students that are only taking online courses or don't have the opportunity or aren't able to come physically on campus for one reason or another, you can always give us a call at 805-678-5295. That's the phone number for the DRC. And we can have whatever service you need provided over the phone. If you prefer Zoom, we'll send you a Zoom link directly so you could join that session with us. We want to make sure that we're supporting students who need that hybrid service if they're not going to be on campus and in person.
Can you guys tell us a little bit of the DSIG program?
So the DSIG program is the California Dream Act, basically a grant for undocumented students to volunteer their hours. And they volunteer up to 100 hours or 150 hours, and they can volunteer their hours at various departments on campus. And then after they complete those hours, they are awarded that grant. I believe the grant varies from $2,200 to $4,500. But this is a great program for those students to get hours, to get work experience, or even connections to other departments as well for their future. Mm-hmm. And we do a lot of onboarding for those participants, and I think there's a lot of questions surrounding that. But if they are interested, we do recommend them to get in touch with their financial aid specialist or one of the financial aid's undocumented allies, just so they can see if this is for them. And then from there, they get sent to the office or department that they're interested in working in. And then from there, we could onboard them.
We are providing these resources, and I hope with this episode that we're able to create just a little bit more understanding of what we have here and hopefully a little bit more knowledge. Yay!
Yeah. That was awesome.
I'm glad. We are the change here at Oxnard College. And I just want to say thank you so much to Rosa and Lela. Thank you so much from DRC.